to becoming a CV writing pro. Yeah, I've put a lot of work and a lot of effort into this workshop, and I hope that you enjoy it. So hello, my name is Magena Almendro. I am a registered psychometrist in private practice, and I have been for the past 6 years. About 4 years ago, I discovered a need in the market in terms of creating professional CVs for individuals. And we're all going to have a little bit of a giggle later on when we look at how I started out in terms of it being so primitive. But I think over the years, I've had the opportunity to actually refine my offering. And I can't wait to share it all with you today. Okay, so today's agenda is we're going to talk about the CV is dead. Okay, so is the CV dead? Is it not dead? Where are we sitting with this? Then I'm going to unpack Holiston's very own CV formula to success. This is completely novel. It's not brain science when you have a look at the formula that I have devised. But in terms of over the years, I've just experienced a lot of success with applying this particular formula. And we're going to go through heaps of different case studies to actually demonstrate the success. So the proof is in the pudding. We're going to look at LinkedIn, the cover letter, the biography, your ethics of your offering if you are looking at becoming a professional CV writer for your clients, costs and billing, and then of course, conclusion. So the way in which I've approached this workshop is I'm going to be speaking to the consultant, whether you be a coach, psychometrist, or recruiter. I'm going to be speaking specifically to the consultant managing your client's request. If you have booked and joined this workshop because you want to empower yourself for your own benefit, that's perfectly fine, okay? But I'm going to continuously use the language that you are executing a request for a client. And if you're doing this for yourself, remember that you are your number one client. Okay, so as much as this is geared around upskilling the consultant around these skills, of course, you can also apply it to your own personal branding needs. Okay, so let's talk about the CV is dead. I attended an online workshop a couple of months ago, in fact. It was my business coach, and he spoke all about the CV being dead. And I mean, I had a conversation with Robin Kirsty last week, who is a thought leader. She's big in aviation, speaking about the new trends in terms of gaining meaningful employment. And it's not just about a CV document. So, let's look at the different avenues that we can employ in terms of gaining meaningful employment, the 21st century amongst Industry 4.0. Remember also, this is beneficial when it comes to coaching your clients who need some support in gaining meaningful employment. So the big thing is to be remarkable. As we know, I'm not going to sound like a broken record, although I probably will, in that the economy is absolutely shot, not just from a South African perspective, but an international perspective as well. We have hosted workshops around the gig economy, and we've got some content around that. So if you're interested in that, let me know. But we're speaking specifically in terms of gaining employment as an employee. So the big thing is be remarkable. You've got to stand out. Crikey, I forget the name now, but there's a gentleman that tweeted. He's the owner of a digital media agency, and his tweet, which famously went viral, was CVs are boring as fuck, sorry, AF. What are you going to do to stand out? So you've got to be remarkable, but how? Okay, so how am I going to be rememberable or remarkable? So first things first is make sure that your CV is aligned to your social media profiles, okay? You can't be telling a different narrative across different profiles. Okay, so let's start with me as the case study number one. But if you look at my Facebook, in terms of my designation, it's pretty much identical across all my different social media platforms, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, so on and so forth, okay? Another big one is to create a website. You must be thinking, what, me? Okay, so websites are no longer just for celebrities or what have you. Credible professionals, if you pay attention to those that are really leaders in the markets, credible professionals have a website that's outside of their business's website and a logo. If you don't believe me, let's take a look at some local professionals. This is my coach, Brent Spilkin, or Spilly. That's his websites. Here we've got Mark, Roxy Berger. I'm sure loads of you know her, went to university with her. She's got her own website too. Here's Richard, Nikki Bush, okay, kind of aligned to us in terms of psychology. We've got Mike Stopforth. Vusi is a big one, okay, very popular in terms of thought leader. And oh, hey, it's me. Okay, so it's important to have a website as well. Creating a video CV to be remarkable, okay? Okay, so in the theme of being remarkable, video CVs are definitely something that makes you stand out, okay? And if you are not the owner of at least page 1 of Google, you've got a problem. Why have you got a problem? That's because the person that you are competing with for that particular job role, they likely do own page 1. So do yourself a favor today and in fact, Google yourself and see if you own page 1. So I'm very proud, I own page 1 right to the bottom. Be part of the 1%. So in terms of being a thought leader, okay, trust me when I say that you as a credible professional, combined with your qualifications, your skills, your expertise, you've got something meaningful to share, all right? 90% of the world population consume that content that's available online. 9% of the population share that content, but only 1% create that content. So be part of the 1%, okay? And just again, demonstration of the content that Holiston or I share on our various platforms. We blog, lots of stuff happening on LinkedIn. We've got great videos, I hope, on YouTube. And of course, we do lots of PR and TV interviews. Okay, and then of course, the last strategy in terms of finding meaningful work is reaching out to your network. As the cliche goes, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. And you never know if an old friend works at a company that could put you in touch with the HR business partner. Let me tell you a little bit about Kirsty Sharman. Okay, so she really, really wanted to work for a digital media agency, okay? And she had no experience when it came to social media. Everything she did was completely self-taught. So she had a look at the trends in terms of how they covered campaigns for Nando's and so on and so forth. And she decided to start a campaign, which was hashtag, I think it was Hire Kirsty or whatnot. She created t-shirts with the hashtag and did a couple of clever captions, and it went viral. Okay, Mike Sharman, who was the owner of this particular company, he, like as she said, he had no choice but to actually call her in for an interview. His name is Ivor Holter, and he was in Johannesburg. He didn't just apply or throw out his CV to whomever. He was very particular on the agency he wanted to work for. So after discovering, okay, cool, that's the company that I want to work for in Johannesburg. I mean, this costed him absolutely nothing except some time. But the one of the directors at the time was Ahmed. So what he did was he created an Instagram page that was called Ahmed Tilly Look at Me. And again, very clever little snapshots with captions. And of course, what happened? He got the job, okay? So we're living in an era where everybody is an influencer, everybody's a thought leader, and this is actually not a diss. We've got a wonderful opportunity to be remarkable by employing these different tactics, okay? And if you want to read more about the strategy around this, there is your reference to our blog post. So let's revisit the question, is the CV truly dead? Okay, with all of these different things, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and video CVs and websites. It's like, what's the point? Is the CV dead? No, it's not. I think at least for the foreseeable future, the CV is still a critical document when it comes to applying for that job. It's the very core, it's the basis for everything. It doesn't matter who you know. And if you've got some experience in this, even if you are tied up with somebody in some big company, They'll always say to you, got to follow due process. Please just send your CV through and I'll see what I can do from the back end. Okay, so it certainly isn't dead. All right, time for a giggle in terms of how I started out primitively. So this was my CV that I thought was just so remarkable when I started out with professional CVs, because, oh my gosh, it's so pretty and it's so pink and it's just so glorious. And look at me, my hair just looks fabulous. But I hate to say, Magenta 2016, this is a no-no. Okay, I'm very embarrassed. Okay, so let's start to unpack our CV writing 101 Holiston style. Listen up closely. I've made a cool, or kind of boring, but an acronym to help you remember the method that you need to employ when you're creating a professional CV for your client. Quickly follow very basic planned directions. Now, I must just make note that I'm going to give you all the theory today. We're going to go through a little bit of the practical component as well. But it's kind of like, if we can liken it to you coming through to the gym, meeting with a personal trainer. He shows you some amazing techniques. You do some of those crunches. You can feel it's really worked your stomach. And then you go home and do nothing. Okay, this is going to be something that has to be put into practice. You're not going to be brilliant initially, or maybe you won't. You will. But it is something that takes some time and some practice. So let's start with quickly, or Q. Okay, what does Q stand for? Q stands for quantify. So you want to quantify your impact by using numbers and metrics. Specifically with your client, ask them questions like, did your achievement save time for the company? Did it increase revenue? So although you can't, or maybe you can, but in most cases, as I've experienced, you can't do it for absolutely every bullet point. Try as far as possible. And we're going to do some prac as well, so don't stress. Let's just follow some theory for now. Okay, so in terms of follow, or F is our $1 million formula, and it's really easy. App, okay? Action word plus psychological competency plus proof. So let's take a look at the action words. This is what I did on social media some time ago in terms of putting a whole bunch of action words to create impact together for you. And dum dum dum, if you have attended any of my workshops in the past, you'll know that I pretty much always give you more value, or more than what you expected, more than what I advertise for. So each and every one of you is going to be getting a folder with loads of free resources, okay? One of them being these action words. So let's take a look at some examples. What is more impactful to you? Negotiated contracts with vendors, or slashed payroll benefits administration costs 30% by negotiating pricing and fees whilst ensuring the continuation and enhancement of services. Okay, so with the CV, it's twofold. In terms of, you want to obviously have the CV go through ATS, which we'll explain a little bit later. ATS is automatic tracking software, but at the end of the day, it's also going to end up on a human being's desk, okay? Once it once it gets through that software, it's going to be read by a human being. And this is where the action comes in. It's got to be compelling, and it's got to really captivate that audience. So let's look at my old CV. It's a bit embarrassing. Okay, and today this is my new CV, all right? So I want to take a look at the responsibilities and just compare apples with apples, or apples and pears. So back in the day, what did I say? It was very operational. It kind of made me look like a doer and not an achiever. So testing delegates and scoring assessments, report writing, and all that fun stuff. Marketing, managing a team, assisting business, developing unique assessments, general administrative duties, XYZ. And I thought that this was the shiz, okay? But you'll have a look at how I've changed my technique by employing this formula that I promise you, and I'm going to demonstrate why I know it's successful. Okay. All right. So if we have a look at my language used now, let's look at those action words. Improve clients' achievement of strategic goals by selecting talent, by developing unique solutions to problems, increasing, here's our metrics, when I quantify the average return on employment by 34.4 to 5.2 months. Action word, conceptualized new assessments, grew business footprints, created, championed, generated, facilitated, executed, guided, booked, created, influenced, mentored, coached. Okay, track record of superior performance in blah, blah, blah. Okay, there's no action word there, but that's fine. Demonstrated, championed. So you'll see that for my current role, 98% of my responsibilities are demonstrated as an achievement. And that's simply by utilizing your action words. Okay. All right, the psychological competency. Now, maybe us psychometrists have a little bit of an unfair advantage when it comes to our psychological competency knowledge, okay? So today, I'm not here to teach you how to be a psychometrist or to teach you how to be a coach or a counselor, okay? Because you've got these skills ingrained. I've recognized the gap in the market, and the gap in the market is, hey, we actually have some really awesome skills that we can apply in a different manner, okay? So you're likely to be familiar with this. This is SHL's Universal Competency Framework. And it's the various different competencies that they have over time. Since 2003, they've done research across different markets, across different job descriptions, and they've had a look at the top competencies that are important for various roles. You're going to be very familiar with these sorts of competencies. We've got leading and deciding, supporting and cooperating, interacting and presenting, analyzing and interpreting, XYZ, okay? Tied into this is the business taxonomy that SHL's also devised as of 2016 or 18, okay? So it's fairly recently, where they looked at the biggest challenges that business is experiencing, and they tied in these competencies that leaders are looked up to in terms of it being desirable for them to own these competencies. You can read up a little bit more on it. I have put in the source at the bottom of the slide in terms of the really desired competencies. Now, remember, there is not one size fits all, okay? So you're not going to obviously throw these competencies in a person that doesn't demonstrate them, okay? We're going to talk about the offering a little bit later, but just quickly, when you start devising your offering to your market, okay, first things first is be niche, okay? I always sing and dance about being niche, whether it be in your practice or your offering or your brand or whatever, but be niche. But the second thing is what I can, the comfort that I can give you as a consultant in this space is that when we, and maybe we should just quickly do it. In fact, yeah, let's do it as a little exercise. So what I've done is I've Googled, and maybe do yourself the favor and actually Google CV writing businesses in South Africa, across the world. But what sets you apart, number one, is your psychology background, okay? I have yet to come across, and I've done a fair amount of research, I've yet to come across one agency that actually encapsulates this unique selling point. That's point one. Point two, there is a lot of sexy software out there, okay? So I'm big on Industry 4.0, big fan. Instead of fighting it, let's align to software and artificial intelligence to make our lives easier, okay? If we don't embrace it, we're going to get left behind. But again, when it comes to CV writing, I mean, you probably think, oh, but it's such a basic skill. You're, in my professional opinion, and from what I've seen from a software perspective, you need a human being to integrate the information together. Okay, so my point is there is a market out there for you. Okay, don't worry about everybody having all these different offerings and whatnot. If you combine your niche market with your set of skills, I promise you, you can do magic, okay? We are so busy that today we have got 3 lovely ladies that are with us that are actually going to be consulting for Holiston because we cannot manage the demand. It's insane. Okay, and then the last part of your formula is the proof. So what the hell is the proof? Well, that is the CV that your client is going to provide to you, or the information that you're going to gather during your intake session. Okay. What does V stand for? V stands for visual presentation and organization. All right. So your CV needs to scream high potential, or your client's CV. Remember that your CV is your marketing tool, and it's the first impression that the employer gets. So obviously I was like, oh, but it's so prissy, you know, my CV is so nice. No. Can I tell you, what you're looking at is the ideal kind of template when it comes to the visual presentation and organization. Let's run through the criticals for now. I haven't put this into the slide, so if you want to make a note of it, you can. Otherwise, it's easy peasy lemon squeezy, as my son says. Just follow the template directive. Okay. So what I'm going to be doing is employing international best practice. South Africa is a little bit different in that our market is more flexible, or perhaps it wants a little bit more detail on us. But as soon as we hit places like Europe or the States or Australasia or the Far East, you've got to keep these details to an absolute bare minimum, okay? Especially in the European markets, they do not want to know your age. They do not want to know your race. They don't want to know your gender or what gender you identify with. They want to know only your name and your contact details. That is it. Okay, so that's a very important thing, because they're very sensitive in terms of when it comes to discrimination. In South Africa, however, you're going to want to, perhaps if you're doing a CV for a client for a local market, is add things like, do they have an ID number, or not do that, sorry, include their ID number, include things like, do they have a driver's license? So in South Africa, you know, it's important. If you don't have a car, there might be issues. And I mean, you're applying for a sales position where you need to visit clients, that's going to be a problem. So those are bits of information that you can add. Just take heed of what kind of role the client is applying for. Okay, another important thing is every single CV, whether it be South African or international based, needs to have a little narrative or a biography of that particular person. Okay, we then spell out the key highlights. All right, so PS, every single CV and every single template that you see today, although I've blanked out the identities, obviously, and also the companies, company X or company Y, these are all real CVs. Okay, so we've got a couple of Jane Does and Janice Does and John Does, but these are all real CVs done for real clients, demonstrating real results. Okay, so in terms of your key highlights, I've been making a big song and dance about action words and metrics, and as you can see, it is demonstrated here. Led overall transition of systems, value decision maker, led program management efforts, established new division, designed and implemented, led replacement, set up multiple new divisions. So you can see all that compelling action language that makes you want to be like, wow, shut the front door, this looks amazing. You'll see the metrics as well that we've used, lots of numbers. It doesn't all have to be saved 15 billion Rand for the company, okay? But in terms of, what's this? Large clients in excess of 800 users across 25 sites. Okay, so as long as you're using numbers to demonstrate the client success. Then we have a look at the professional experience, okay? So you're going to have the company, the dates, and then of course that person's role and each bullet point, okay? No essays, no summaries, keep it to bullet points. Okay, boom, 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 boom. This particular lady, she is in her 60s, okay? So she's just gone over to the UK in June. So obviously her original CV, you can imagine if she's in her 60s already, her CV was like a book. Okay. And I just want to demonstrate to you that it doesn't matter how long or how short your client has been in a particular role. It is possible to condense their CV to 2 pages. Okay. A lot of clients perhaps are going to kick and scream at the fact that you've eradicated so much of their detail, but it's important that it is condensed to 2 pages, no more. Okay. And then, of course, your education and training. Now, I'm not averse, and it's not me. Market is not averse to the way in which you order the information. Okay, if you want to put education on top, that's fine. But I think generally try and follow this trend, and you're going to see some different styles. I used to offer 26 different templates of CVs, okay, because I thought it's all about appearance and choice and offering. What I found is, when you go to a restaurant and you get a menu, and then you've got the pizza page, and then you've got like the meat page, and then the fish page, and the pasta page, and the salad page, and it's just too much. So sometimes giving people too much of a choice is not a good thing. And that's why you'll see in your resource pack, I've nominated 4 templates that I want you to gravitate towards. Okay, so I'm giving you the whole shebang. You're going to have access to everything, but the CVs that are labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4, please stick to those, because those are your winning templates for success. Those are the templates that I've experienced to be the most beneficial. Okay, so let's just quickly revisit this. So keeping personal information to an absolute minimum, especially with international markets. You've got your summary at the top, your key highlights, professional experience. That's what I forgot. Okay, do not add references in. Why? Okay, so a lot of clients will be like, no, but I want it in. Okay, so number 1, it's a filler. Okay, we've got to eradicate those fillers that take up space. Number 2, the CV has got to be structured in such a way that you strategically leave out information to cause the recruiter or the HR business partner to contact client. Okay, because we all know that it's so easy to say no to a piece of paper. But to engage with a human, you start to build rapport, and it becomes increasingly more difficult to say no to. So if the person likes what they see and they want some references, they're going to have to make that call, or they're going to have to pop that email. And once you've got that opportunity, you really have the platform, or the client has the platform to sell themselves. So don't add the references in. It's very important. It's very strategic that we've actually left it out. And it also aligns to international best practice. Okay, let's look at B for basic. B stands for brevity. Let's refer to our case study. Janice Doe, as I've called her, this is her CV. And yeah, I mean, rich information, incredible responsibilities, incredible achievements. And you're going to see her achievements, she's like put at the bottom. Okay, this is not a silly woman. This is a highly intelligent woman that has put this document together. And it just goes on and 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 on. Okay, that's 13 pages. This is still one of the shorter ones. I've had one, oh my goodness, it was like a manuscript. And let's take a look at what we've done. Okay. Tell me it's not possible to condense all that beautiful, rich information into 2 pages. Okay. So use these case studies in terms of seeing how I did it. Okay, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I've had a fair amount of experience, and yeah, I can't wait to share with you the positive feedback that we have received from our testimonials. Let's take a look at also the key highlights. So with Janice, whomever I named her, as I mentioned to you at the top here, it was all about I, okay, as you can see here. So let's look at the language that we've employed. Okay, so she says, I strive to do this, and I'm this, and I have skills with this, and she's always this. Okay, it's beautiful, but it's not going to work. Okay, so we see responsible for management of blah, blah, blah. Then we've put a beautiful metric in, okay? 90 million Rand per month saving. That's amazing. Led the redesign of the entire maintenance, blah, blah. pioneered, established, designed, led, broke new ground, achieved, ownership, conceptualized. How much more impactful are those key highlights as opposed to just saying, I like this and I like to do this and whatnot. Okay, and as you can see, this, she gave me beautiful data to work with. So we've got rich metrics in terms of the proof of her achievements in the business environment. Okay. Marvelous, 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 beautiful, beautiful, darling. Okay, so that's brevity. Let's look at P for planned. P stands for pronouns. So we've already alluded to this with the examples that I've demonstrated to you. But, no, not another. Okay, so I have alluded to that. Instead of having I, X, Y, Z, I this, I that, you remove that. You have got to write in third person for your client or for yourself. International best practice, not my rules. Okay. Lastly, D for directions is digital readiness. So the common misperception is the fact that we've got to have the CV in a PDF format so that it's not manipulated or changed or anything like that. Can I just tell you, there are so many free software apps. You just Google it, convert PDF to Word. Okay, it's kind of lost its whole unique selling point. Okay, you can actually manipulate PDFs, but the most important thing to remember is that although a lot of ATS software programs are able to scan PDFs, a lot of the dated ones still use Word. So I would encourage your clients, or encourage you to tell your clients, to err towards the side of caution and rather save the CV in a Word format. Remember, Word can always be changed to a PDF. But yes, some older applicant tracking systems have a problem with scanning the PDF. Okay, so when you're submitting, make sure it's for a Word. So I'm presuming we're all pretty familiar with it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to move through LinkedIn rather quickly and just explain everything, kind of like if you haven't seen LinkedIn in your life before. Hopefully you have. Okay, so we're all familiar with Facebook, I would imagine. So I'm going to use similar terminology here. And in terms of this page, this is like our news feed. Okay, so this is just different content that people put out there. When I spoke about being a thought leader, this is what I meant in terms of 90% of us are consuming content, 9% of us are sharing the content or liking the content, and only 1% is actually coming up with this. Okay. All right, so that's your news feed. Okay, let's have a look at the profile. Okie dokie, hokey pokey. So over here, this is your banner. All right, you can manipulate and change this. My advice is, you probably know this about by now, canva.com is my go-to place for all free design needs. And they've actually got a whole selection of LinkedIn profiles that you can create for your client. Okay, it just gives them a little bit of a different look and feel, and it's more captivating from a visual perspective. In terms of your client's LinkedIn photo, okay, you don't have to make notes on this, by the way. This has been listed in your resource pack. So the photo should ideally be against a light background, okay? White is best, and wearing as dark clothes as possible. Client should be looking at the camera, okay? A nice gentle smile or whatnot, nothing over the top. And obviously with ladies, makeup, neat, clean hair. Gentlemen, if they do have a beard, make sure that it's trimmed, but like no untidy stubble. I mean, it's fine to have a beard or to be clean shaven, but it just needs to be neat and clean, and the hair needs to be good, sharp, sharp. Err towards the caution, the more formal the attire, the better. Okay, so over here you've got your client's name, and then of course their designation. Now the designation is not just a BER or a registered psychometrist or whatnot, but really look at, you know, let's say they're an aviation consultant. Perhaps you could say something to the effect of, you know, C-suite aviation consultant with track record of exceptional leadership skills. Okay, so not just an X or a Y or a Z, but give it some flavor. Okay. Their location, I'll explain that in a second. Okay, and this is if the client is open to work or not, okay? If the person provides services. All right, this is your profile, okay? So don't do a copy and paste effort in terms of just taking what's on the CV and putting it into your LinkedIn. Once again, you're going to write something that's compelling in third person, okay? And give it a little bit of a different flavor to the CV. We don't want to see a copy and paste job. At the same time, there needs to be synergy, okay? So I'm not talking about here my secret life of being an actress. I'm talking about my career as a psychometrist, which is going to reflect the same in the CV. Okay, in your resource pack, you'll see that there's a section that asks the clients if they've got anything online, okay? Any portfolio, any interview they've done, maybe on their company website, there's a beautiful picture of them winning, you know, employee of the month, anything like that, because you can actually link that content over here. And once again, it just gives the impression of thought leader, you know, somebody that's credible, that knows their shizzle. Okay. You are aiming for what's called an all-star status. Okay, so because my profile is sitting on all-star, you're not going to see that little bar, but LinkedIn will demonstrate if there are items that are missing from your client's profile. Okay, be part of the 1%. This section captures your activity on LinkedIn, whether it be sharing content or creating content. Okay, so when it comes to your experiences, what I've done here is I haven't actually done the bullet points. I've just kind of encapsulated what I do in summary format. Okay, so once again, title, how long, and then a summary. The reason for this is because you actually, I think it's 1,500, what do they call it? Not items, but your spaces is quite limited when it comes to filling in the information for what you do. Okay, then we go down to education. So there's a strong difference between formal like degrees or doing a certificate. So we'll show that now. So over here's your formal stuff, okay, like high school or college or whatnot. And then of course, if you've got any certifications or licenses, you're going to put it into this section. Okay. You know this, hey? If you click on the pencil, that's how you edit everything. And if you want to add, that's how you add a whole new license or certificates. Okay. Then, of course, you've got volunteer experience. This is all optional. Endorsements and recommendations. Okay, some accomplishments, languages, and so on and so forth. So I wonder if I should show you. Okay, we're going to go and have a look at the little resource pack that I've created for you. But in terms of that, you're not actually going to physically do this for the client. Okay. Get familiar with LinkedIn so you actually know if they say, gosh, how do I ask for a recommendation? You're not sitting going, oh, hikes, I don't know. Listen, Google is your friend, but this is not brain science. Get familiar with the platform. It's really super easy. Okay, so I don't think it's necessary for me to explain to you the function of how to use, you know, an editing key. I want to show you how to optimize and to really make this profile work for your client. My advice is in your process, every single person has got this function. If you click on more and save your profile to PDF, LinkedIn actually downloads a copy of that particular document. Okay. So over here, you can see my LinkedIn PDF has been downloaded. Okay. What I would recommend is if a client comes to you and they want their LinkedIn recreated, download this first. Okay. People love seeing a demonstration of what you've done for them. So here you can offer them a before and an after. Okay. Let's go back to LinkedIn. Okay. And then obviously they're going to populate that information. And just remember the formula that I've taught you, or the acronym that I've taught you in terms of CV writing, you're going to use most of the same kind of items: action words, remove personal pronouns, metrics, all of those items. We use the same kind of style along with LinkedIn. Okay. Now, this is something that you can use. This information is what you can use for yourself as a consultant, but also as a professional if you're seeking work. When we spoke about the psychological competencies in that formula, okay, you'll know, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with actually building job descriptions, but although we use the Universal Competency Framework by SHL, like I mentioned to you, it's not a one-size-fits-all of writing a CV trying to encapsulate as many of those competencies as possible. You've actually got to see if the person's competent in it. So here's another tip for my psychometry colleagues. What Holiston also does is, a lot of the time, that client doesn't actually realize what are their strengths, what are their blind spots, what are their areas for personal development. So in our most comprehensive package, the client actually has the opportunity to select a psychometric profile that demonstrates what their strengths are. And it's just such a beautiful value add, because like I said, in my experience, I haven't seen other agencies actually offer this to the client, okay? It also leads the way for a beautiful coaching relationship with your client, because once they've got their psychometric profile and they've identified, okay, so I need to improve on my eye for detail, or this, my financial acumen, or my resilience, it leads the way for further engagements in terms of actually supporting and coaching them to broaden that skill set. Okay, so I'm getting really long-winded now, but the most important thing is when you're writing that CV for the individual, and you're going to see this in the material that leads your session with them, but you've got to be mindful of what job are they wanting to apply for. Okay, so I know that sounds really like, huh? Of course, duh. But a lot of people think that they just get the CV and that they can use it everywhere, okay? And that's not how it works. With CV writing, you create a CV for them based on their need today, but you have got to make them aware that that one document cannot be used for every single role, okay? There is a little bit of work required on their side in terms of tweaking it, but you can do your best. So what I personally do is, let's say I've got a client that's specifically looking at a general manager position, so that sort of level, in a financial arena. LinkedIn kicks Google's bum, okay? So what you want to do is you actually want to have a look at typical job descriptions for the desired role. Now you can use Google, okay? I'm not saying Google's wrong here, but just in terms of really rich, comprehensive, beautiful job descriptions, LinkedIn is my go-to place. So like I said, this information here is twofold. It's for yourself as a consultant, or for yourself if you're looking for work. Okay, so let's say, for example, what did I say? I said general, you can see I'm busy working with financial people at the moment. General manager of revenue development, I don't know. And let's say Gauteng. Okay, so just quickly, so I went to my little briefcase here, jobs, and I'm going to search. Right now, what's going to happen is LinkedIn is going to pull up all the positions that are on offer at this moment in time. So that's sitting on our left-hand side of the page. On the right-hand side of the page is exactly what I was speaking about in terms of really credible, current, real job descriptions. Because if you Google it, you're going to get like weird stuff. But these are job descriptions that are in the market at this moment in time. Okay, so quickly tying, I know we're looking at LinkedIn, but I just want to tie it back to the CVs quickly in terms of, okay, action words are action words, but in terms of the psychological competencies as well as the proof okay, or the demonstration of that person's skill sets or their responsibilities, you start to look at what are the current trends in terms of this particular role. So, okay, so expanding the market leading products. Okay, so ooh, that's what commercial awareness, eh? Sure, all right. Good working knowledge of payments, banking. Okay, so that's quite a strong skill set, all right, within that domain. Manage the entire life cycle. That is probably very strong sort of pragmatic methodical skills, okay, in terms of that whole life cycle, working across different systems. Understanding customers' diverse and specific business needs. Oh, I'm going to need someone here that's got good interpersonal skills, client centricity, negotiation, persuasion. Can you hear the keywords that I'm recognizing? Okay, now this doesn't come overnight. This is practice. But I'm nominating psychological competencies, okay, and I'm aligning it to this job description, okay. And then when you engage with, and you can do it across different, okay, this is a marketing role. This is country sales director. You can study a couple, 3 to 5 job descriptions, just scan them quickly and just have a look at what are the commonalities. Okay, so here's customer needs again. Best practice guidance, expertise. Okay, so just look at flesh out the commonalities in terms of those various job descriptions. Here's another opportunity for my psychometry colleagues. I hope I'm not leaving my counselor friends out. But in terms of competency-based interviews are a beautiful way to actually flesh out if your client does demonstrate these various competencies. Okay, another beautiful opportunity to engage in a coaching session and to conduct a competency-based interview. Ooh, okay, I've just realized I haven't added competency-based interviews into your resource pack, and I'm going to do it now. So that's what we do as well. Using products, there is a cost for that. So make sure whatever you're charging covers your cost of assessment. But as soon as you start doing assessment centers or competency-based items, you're charging for your time. Okay. So yeah, I'm not a fan of using too many tools because it can rack up quite a big cost. But some clients are willing to pay it. So my Brill All-Star, which is not even advertised or it's not on my cost sheet, but I charge 8,500 Rand for a comprehensive package, and my clients have been thrilled with what they've received for that. And it sounds like a lot of money, but it's our time as professionals. Okay. All right, so just quickly, so you know how to navigate LinkedIn and whatnot, you can express to your client that they can actually create filters within LinkedIn. So if you just want to pay attention to the jobs, general manager of revenue in Gauteng within the last 24 hours that requires a mid to senior level, you can choose your company, job type, and you can actually become quite granular in the job that you're looking for. Now, remember, with any tactic, I'm all about being niche. I'm all about being very focused on the markets. Same tactic applies if you're a job hunter, is to be very specific on what you want to do. Okay, you can actually then create job alerts. So you that little dial over there, you put that on, and the candidate will be emailed on a daily or a weekly basis on the new jobs that actually meet their criteria. Okay, but they're going to have to set that up. Okay, you can sort of guide them through the process collaboratively on Zoom or face-to-face, but they're going to have to physically do it. Okay. Okay, and then I just want to, once again, you're not going to make money from LinkedIn in terms of this, but for yourself as well, premium is for me personally, is a good investment. So LinkedIn Premium as a candidate, because they've got different tiers. I've used it as a recruiter, okay? That's expensive. That's about 2,000 a month. But LinkedIn Premium as a candidate is actually not too bad. It's 387 Rand, depending on where the Rand dollar exchange is sitting at. And what it does is it gives you access to various different features on LinkedIn. So don't forget, LinkedIn is free, okay? And that's fine. But just so you are aware, and if your client does ask you, hey, listen, what is premium and you know, does it work? Just so you are aware, there are different features for it. So you are able to actually send, it's called in-mail messages. It's like an email on LinkedIn, okay, over here. You can send it to someone that you're not connected with. So say, like I said, part of your job searching strategy for your client is they find out the HR business partner for, I don't know, Pick and Pay, and now they're not connected. Okay, and instead of having to connect and wait for the person to accept your invitation, you can actually compile an email and connect with that person. Okay, you can have a look at who is checking you out, which is always lots of fun. All right, so with premium or without premium, you don't always have access to the identity of those people. Whereas with premium, it's obviously very interesting to see if different companies are interested in you. And then you can make contact and start up a conversation. Okay, this is my favorite part of LinkedIn Premium. And I think that you'll probably find it beneficial as well if you do sign up for premium. So basically with premium, you can have a look and see with the jobs. Let's actually take you back there quickly. So what were we looking at? Let's try something else. Let's do a marketing manager. And let's do this in, I don't know, the Netherlands. All right. All right, cool. So those are all the positions and these are the job descriptions. Oh, hikes. And now it's in it's in Dutch. Okay, doesn't matter. So what I really love about premium is the fact that it gives you competitive intelligence, not just about yourself, but about other applicants as well. Okay, so top skills from an ATS perspective, or the keywords, you want to ensure that yours or your clients' competencies or keywords, however LinkedIn likes to say it, is matching to that job description. So we can see, hey, actually, I wouldn't be a bad marketer, go figure, because I meet a lot of the keywords on my profile, which I'll show you in just a second. So this is going to be as tight as possible. Other interesting information is you can see how many people have applied in the past day, you know, how many people have a degree or a doctorate or whatever, where they are located, and also the trends of the company. Okay, this one doesn't have a graph, but sometimes you can actually see the trends and how many people they've hired and fired and so on and so forth. Okay, I just want to quickly, so you see this, remember this. Okay, you see those top skills? Keep that in your mind. Okay, let's go back to my profile. So for your client, you have got 50 skills or 50 keywords that you can input. Okay. My advice is utilize all 50. On the recruiter side, when I've used LinkedIn to recruit for clients, I'm only allowed to nominate 10, as we saw. So it's just basic math. If the client, or if a candidate has at least 50 and they've exhausted all of their keywords, there's a higher probability that they're going to match to the 10 skill sets of that particular job description. Okay, so yeah, just FYI. Okay, so let's go back to premium. Remember, like I said, that's my favorite part. Okay, but there's other really cool stuff as well. So LinkedIn Learning is incredible. There are numerous different courses in terms of hard skills and soft skills that the candidate or yourself can do, whether it be something like learning how to use Excel appropriately, right through to management and leadership. Okay. LinkedIn actually helps you by saying, okay, cool, you know, how much time can you dedicate to learning per week? And you can say 30 minutes or 6 hours or whatever. And then you can choose, do you prefer videos, courses? Are you a beginner, intermediate, advanced? And yeah, it's credible, strong, very wholesome content that's available on LinkedIn to upskill yourself. Once you've completed a course, you get a certificate that's issued by LinkedIn. It's not a certificate of competency. It's really just a certificate of, no, in fact, actually, I beg your pardon. Different courses are different. Some of them actually require you to do a test. So then that would be a certificate of competency. But a lot of the time as well, it's just the fact that you've done the certificates and that appears on your LinkedIn profile. Okay. All right. And then, okay, this, I don't even know why this is seen as a premium thing, because everybody's got, as far as I know, the opportunity to be open to opportunities. Okay, and then another sexy little feature here, although I'm not a massive fan of this right now, but you can actually build your own resume on LinkedIn. So you're probably thinking, oh, crikey, this is going to put me out of business. Not necessarily. Okay, so let me just show you how this works. So what it does is, let's say, okay, so my current LinkedIn is very psychology rich. Let's write something for marketing manager. Okay. So you select that particular, that's why I say, ladies and gentlemen, trust me when I say you've got a very niche offering, because as sexy as artificial intelligence is, it cannot replace humans for those critical needs. So, I mean, this is very fantastic. You know, what it's done is it's saying, okay, cool. This is what we found in terms of your resume. You know, you've got some nice keywords. This is kind of what we suggest that you add, okay? Some more keywords for your desired role, and so on and so forth. Okay, so then you can manipulate it. You change it here. It's not going to change on your profile, so you can change it over here. And once you're happy with everything, then you are going to preview. And this is so-called now my CV for a marketing role. Okay, but you'll see it's primitive stuff. Like I said, I don't think automation is going to be able to replicate what us humans can do with this too quickly. So I'm not a big fan. I've got to be honest with you. Playing around with it, nah, no thanks. Okay, so I want to hop back and show you what you are getting in your resource pack. Okay, so this is going to guide your process. You can use these sheets to actually mirror what is on LinkedIn. But like I mentioned, my advice is go into your, I beg your pardon. Ask your candidate, maybe in front of you or in their own time, to download a PDF. So you've got a before. And it's your proof to show what you've done. Okay, I'm all about proof and evidence and that sort of thing. So let this guide your process. This can be part of your intake session, which again, you can build as a coaching session. Okay. So you're going to populate all the information here, and just remember that this is the information. Okay, let me rephrase. If the person's never had a LinkedIn in their entire life, use this to populate the information. Okay. If you're the type of person that doesn't like engaging, then maybe you want to send this to the client to complete. However, if a person has a LinkedIn profile, ask them to provide you with that PDF of what it currently looks like. Okay. Then you've got the option to then sit with them and ask them if there's anything additional that they want to add to the profile. Then you collate that information, you fill it in on this document, leave it in Word, and you're going to deliver that back to the client. You can then either say, okay, here's all the instructions, do it yourself, or hey, book me for a session, let's sit together and I'll direct you as you input the data. Okay. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's have a look at the cover letter. So what I've done as well is I've provided you with 4 templates for a cover letter. Okay, this might seem like, you know, duh, but it's very important that your clients recognize that the cover letter must not have anything political. Okay, this is specifically for, yeah, like let's say I fell out with my boss. Nothing political, nothing like that should be in your cover letter or in the interview process, please. Don't say things like you're willing to learn. So many people do this, and it's actually, it shows that, oh, you've got a gap, Okay. If you are going overseas, don't elaborate on how you intend to get there. And, you know, I'm just applying for my passport and my great granny was born in Ireland. I just need to get over it. Whether you can go or not, state it and how, and then stop. Okay. And then nothing too personal about, I'm going through such a divorce and whatever. So I've got a client that I'm seeing at the moment, hell of a nice guy. And I've decided to see him pro bono because of his financial situation. But this particular client, I mean, he's got one hell of a story. I don't want to divulge, even though I'm not even nominating or saying who he is. But he's just been through a really rough time in terms of his divorce and lost everything. Okay, everything in the world. He's basically couch surfing, living with a friend. He's 55. Okay, highly qualified advocate, lost everything. And I had to say to him the one day, I said, listen, I don't mind you confiding in me. Obviously, we built rapport before he just let it all out. But I said, you absolutely cannot divulge anything like this to your prospective employer. Okay. And your cover letter. Alrighty, so let's take a look at some practical cover letters now in terms of the general style and the way in which we structure it. Okay, so generally what I am going to express to you is that the template or the style in which the CV is created in, I want you to reflect that in your client's cover letter. Okay, so it's just from a marketing perspective. Make sure your fonts are all the same size, make sure you're using the same font style, and make sure that the templates are identical to each other. Okay. All right, so here, this might look familiar to you because we looked at Jane Doe's CV, but you'll see the same kind of style, the same font, same size, so on and so forth. Okay. So generally, what you're going to do is the cover letter is never going to go over one page, please. All right. So, dear sir, madam, or whomever, if you want to put a little sort of reposition and then you put the job code, a lot of the time the JD has the job code. You can do that as well, as we'll see with the other examples. But you can kind of stick to this style in terms of your cover letters. So, keen to deliver immediate and long-lasting results at Company X for Managing Director role of Finance. Okay, so I'm confident that, and okay, obviously, I hope I don't have to mention this, but I'm going to do it. This is the one document that's written in first person. Okay. All right, so I'm confident that my significant experience will meet your needs. I've got X amounts of experience or years of experience, and my expertise are around X, Y, Z. We've got a little bit more about more recently. I've done this. I was responsible for this. And these are my key highlights. Okay. End it off with, I'm genuinely interested in exploring this role. I would love the opportunity to take this further. Let's look at the next one. So different content, but same style. All right. This one, however, has got position advertised in the reference number. Dear sir, madam. Okay, as a highly accomplished management professional, I'd love to apply, not love, but I'd like to apply for the position as advertised by your company. Little bit of demonstration of what the person is competent in, and then some key highlights in a bullet pointed style. I'm comfortable working in an ever-changing and stressful environment, blah, blah, blah. And then finally, just solidify the interest of the application. Okay, here's another one. Again, very similar style. We didn't so much look at the highlights, but it is encapsulated inside of the content of this particular cover letter. Okay. Oh, bonus, some more. All right, so I mean, you've got 4 to work with, and it really just guides your process into, and remember, you're fleshing all of this from the CV, right? Okay. I want to make mention of the fact that the cover letter, it's also, it's not a bad thing. Like with the CV, I told you about the psychological competencies, those keywords in the job description. it's not a bad thing to actually marry them into the cover letter as well. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, let's look at the bio. So sometimes your client will come to you and say, hey, I need a biography. Okay, maybe it's for media purposes, maybe it's for their websites. Yeah, we don't know. Maybe they're writing a book and they need a bio. Maybe they're presenting and they need a bio. So yeah, the biography. The most important thing to take heed of is what is the purpose of the biography. Okay, once again, it shouldn't be more than a page. Let's have a look at John Doe. That's not really John Doe. That's just a picture. But the example that we're going to be using is a real example of a real person. So this particular gentleman contacted me about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he needed a biography to demonstrate his competency to do, what was it called? A fire audit or something to that effect. Now, his CV is very rich in terms of his current space, in that he is a facilitator, he works in the SHIC environment. So he needed a customized bio to speak to that audience. And that's why I say, always ask, what is the purpose for writing the bio? Okay, so as we can see, again, as part of your resource pack, we've got a CV of Mr. John Doe. And yeah, again, this guy, shame, he was very upset that I condensed his CV to 2 pages. This was the one that it was 20 pages. It was hectic. But yeah, so if you look at his narrative, it's very much rich in terms of designing and training and development strategy and problem solving and day-to-day ops and creative thinking and and very little about the purpose that he needed it for. So what we did was I paid specific attention to what his skill sets were around as a firefighter in terms of his skills, his qualifications. And this is what the bio ended up looking like. So generally with the bio, we do put a photograph. Okay, that's not really him. Again, try and keep it the same style as the CV. And as you can see, this is incredibly short and sweet. Okay, but it speaks exactly to the purpose. Okay, little bit about what he's doing now, what he has done in the past, and which really qualifies him to be selected for this particular role in terms of a fire audit on a mine. Okay, so in terms of what we do, it's quite controversial because I've seen a lot of people offer CV writing services that are either a website designer or, sorry, a graphic designer or a wordsmith or things like that. And they're charging like $100 for a CV. Okay, and I suppose people are desperate. So what it's done is it's created a lot of mistrust in the industry in terms of CV writing. Okay, it's like recruiters also. If there are any recruiters here today, I'm sorry. But recruiters notoriously do, unfortunately, have a bad reputation because of a few of the bad apples in the bunch. It spoils it for the bunch, okay? So, I mean, it was just last week that one of my colleagues, Milani from SciTech Placements, she said that she had proof that a particular recruitment agency was saying to their candidates, oh no, your CV is terrible, you're going to have to pay for a reformat for us to help you. And that's just unethical, okay? So we've just got to be extremely cautious in the way in which we package this information. I'm not saying this is the right way, but this is what I've done, is I have shared a lot. I haven't shared my formula, okay? So that is something we're keeping between us today, guys, please, please. But I share a lot of content on mainstream media, on my blog, in terms of how you, the client, are fully competent and capable to actually create your own CVs. In fact, I've gone as far as on our library, I've made, except for those 4 CVs I've told you about today, I've made all 26 templates available completely free. Wrote a book to empower people in finding work. And with that, by sharing, you're kind of creating this air of trust, okay? So you're not trying to pretend to be this elite person that you're the only person who can do it and try and sort of manipulate them into thinking, oh God, you need to know how ATS works and it's so complicated and all these things. No, it's not. Okay, so express to the client, you're fully competent to do this, but I've been doing this, I do this professionally. It's going to take me, 3 hours as opposed to 3 weeks for you. And we're probably going to have better results just in terms of the stuff and the nuances that I know. So happy to share my content. This is me now from Holiston. Happy to share my content. But hey, if you don't have the time, the inclination, you don't want to learn the skill, you just want to throw money at the problem, happy to help. Okay, so just be ethical in the way in which you conduct it. Don't try and position yourself as having this elitist knowledge, okay? What you can do, which is your USP, your unique selling point when it comes to psychology, is if you do have access within our psychometrists or counselors, if you've got access to your assessments, use that knowledge, use that and build your packages around the fact that you can actually coach the person, you can identify their strengths, you can support them in the process. Okay, so that's really just capitalizing on what we have here as these health professionals in South Africa. I wrote about this 2 weeks ago where, unfortunately, the truth is our options are really limited in terms of psychometry, in terms of counseling. It's a nice to have. This niche is a critical need. Okay, so let's talk about costs and billing. And this kind of overlaps into the ethics now, where a lot of people are like, yeah, these flippin' CV writers. I've seen someone that charges 800 Rand. And I remember seeing them thinking, that's peanuts. But the reason and why you can ethically feel contained is the reason that you're charging what you're charging is because it's your professional time. You're not somebody that just decided to do this as a hobby. You are a registered psychometrist or a registered coach or counselor or a licensed coach. Okay, you're a professional who's charging for your time. And when you can get your head around that, okay, you'll feel the release in terms of what you charge. When you do your research in terms of looking at CV writers and you get a heart attack because you think, oh my gosh, there's so many people there. It's kind of like recruitment agencies as well, okay? There are tons of recruitment agencies, and this is what I tell my clients, and you can translate this to your clients as well. And although it's good to hook up with the big agencies and put your CV out there on those big forums, I'm kind of a fan of aligning myself to the little niche boutique agencies. And the reason for that is if I'm a job hunter and I go to one of the more niche guys, they're going to have time for me. Okay, they're going to value me. They're going to give me the opportunity to come in and interview for them. I'm not going to be one of 1,000 candidates with my CV sitting in the inbox for this past week. If I go to a niche provider, I know that they value me. They're going to want to help me because they want to make their commission. Okay, so it's very similar to the CV writing process is don't be intimidated by these massive big houses like Top CV or Resume Reworded or any of the big guys that offer AI and sexy software and all this, that, and the other. Don't be intimidated by that. Some humans, some markets, in fact, a lot of them still very much value that interpersonal encounter. Oh, okay, so if you know me, I am a type of person that absolutely loves anything free. So the bad news is nothing in life is free. Okay, there's no such thing as a free lunch, unfortunately. But if you're a little bit smart and you bootstrap, you can recognize that sometimes you can take advantage of things in a free manner. Okay, so for example, Canva, like I mentioned to you before, Canva is my go-to place when it comes to designing anything at all. I mean, you could do business cards, you can do newsletters, you can do ebooks. Let's take you to Canva quickly. I'm sure most of you people know about this. However, a colleague of mine only learned about this 2 weeks ago, and I was like, what? How do you not know Canva? Okay, so I use Canva every day of my life. I use it for all my social media. I used it to write my book. I used it for my proposals. And in fact, when I started out, I started using it for my CVs. Don't use Canva for CVs. It's a pain in the bum. Okay, it's so difficult to change and manipulate because everything's design based and it's only in PDF, so just run away. But I just want to show you something quickly here. Okay, so let's do Christmas. Okay, so quick snapshot with Canva. It's a click and drag kind of concept. So these are templates that you can use. Okay, when it says free, that template is 100% free. Okay, lucky for us, it looks like a lot of them are. But some of the times you're going to see some of these templates are actually at a cost. Okay, and our Murphy's Law, they're just giving me free stuff today. Oh my God. Okay, but let's say Santa Claus. Santa. Oh God, the frame. Okay, but sometimes you're going to see it says Pro, and then you've actually, here we go, Photos Pro. Unlock our entire library of premium photos free for 30 days. But of course, you've got to input your credit card details. As you can see, everything that's Pro actually costs you. But, okay, I've paid for Canva once, and it didn't substantiate the amount it was charging me. I can't even remember how much. And I use it very confidently, the whole thing end to end for free. Okay, I'm not doing anything unethical from Canva side. They're offering me the platform to use for free. And if I want to make use of the pro functions, I buy that. You understand what I'm saying? So let's get back to the presentation in terms of free ATS. There is a fantastic, there's actually numerous different products out there when it comes to ATS. But there is a fantastic program that is available online that is called Resume Reworded, or Worded, I beg your pardon. Okay, so there's many platforms like this, but just from my research and my practice, this is my favorite one. Now, like Canva, there is a paid for component with the software program, okay? But you don't allow yourself to get seduced into thinking that you have to buy the full program to utilize what they're already giving you for free. Okay, so with this particular program, it actually works very similarly to an ATS, or they say it is an ATS software platform. And again, it stands for Automatic Tracking Software. So just a quick crash course in ATS. I promise you guys, if you've worked on the recruitment end, it's nothing to do with coding or what do they call this, Python or anything like that. It's so easy. It's literally on the back end. You put in the keywords, what you're looking for, okay, and that you get from your client or your job description. And you literally just flush the CVs through that funnel, okay. So, and it's just, all it's doing, the software, it's not that sophisticated. It's literally just making sure that the CV is reflecting those keywords. Some of the more sophisticated ATS platforms do recognize if you've just copy and pasted and the CV actually doesn't make sense, and then it throws those ones out. So that's why we encourage our candidates not to copy and paste, because more of the sophisticated programs can actually tell. Okay, so here's Resume Worded. I love this thing. Don't be seduced into thinking that you have to buy into it. It's very expensive, okay? But it does actually offer you really nice features that are for free. And in fact, I would encourage you, if you are offering CV writing to your clients and you are offering the end-to-end solution by giving them a document that's complete, then use this platform, because it's actually going to really help you initially. Okay, So basically what happens is you upload it onto the system. Okay, you need connection to Wi-Fi, obviously. And it analyzes the CV. Sorry, I'm losing my ears. It analyzes the CV. With this particular one, it actually requests it in PDF. Hey? But like I said, you can always convert a Word to a PDF. When you're providing items to your clients, provide them in Word and tell them, because they need to be able to manipulate that document themselves. Janice Doe scored 8 out of 100. All right, so her impact is terrible. Okay, brevity definitely needs to be shortened. Her style is mediocre, but her skill sets are excellent. So let's take a look at the detail in what the software is telling us. So show me around. Okay, so crikeys, overall score not too good. Okay, cool, that's where we need attention. So let's start to pay attention to these specific areas. So as you can see, when it's locked, this is pro. Okay, that's the paid for service, just like with Canva. But here with repetition, sure. Overused action items, being, increased, approaching, looking, relating, managed, blah, blah, blah. What you do is in Word, open up Word, run a search, find word, find it. It's going to highlight all of those words, and you can actually change those verbs. Okay, so utilize what you have at your disposal, like Word. Recruiter's Insight. Okay, so it's telling you all about repetition and action verbs. Oh, it's giving you some nice recommendations. Fabulosity. Okay, so, okay, this is a pro feature. Let's just go through. So we've gone through that. Let's look at brevity. Okay, so, oh my goodness gracious. They're saying that they recommend about what? We recommend that you reduce the length of your resume to... So they say that generally 450 to 850 words is 1 to 2 pages, and that is perfect. This current resume is sitting at 2,327 words, which is just, it's too much, okay? It's going to give you some nice little insights and some tips, what to remove, what to change, so on and so forth. Okay, I actually just want to show you because it does demonstrate it over here. Here. Let's look at this. Pro section. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, so for example, here, you can see it's highlighted in the CV. Like it's saying, hey, what the hell? Where are the metrics here? Where are the metrics? Come on, this is rubbish. Okay, so yeah, it is pretty cool. Buzzwords or cliches. It's going to highlight those. Okay, so apparently a team player is a buzzword. Okay. Synergies. Okay, it's a buzzword. Synergies again. Okay, cool. Okay, but there's loads of rich information that you can use from doing an analysis on the free version of Resume Worded. Use the advice. It is tailored to the CV. Okay. Yeah, and that's my little secret trick up my sleeve in terms of my little software program that I use in terms of ATS. Okay. And that's it. I really hope that you've loved the workshop, How to Become a CV Writing Pro, and that the information that you learned about today was really valuable to you. Remember, loads of freebies. You've got some powerful TV templates to work with, some amazing cover letter templates, and some other little surprises coming your way. All you need to do is click on the Dropbox link to access all that material. I'd also love it if you connect with me on LinkedIn, Majena Almendro. I've also got my social media handles contained in this particular email. So connect with me on social and let me know how you're doing. I wish you all the very best, whether you are going to offer this CV writing service to your clients, or if you are your own client and you've decided to book this workshop because you want to empower yourself in how to create the most powerful CVs and really get the job of your dreams. And hey, who knows, maybe you can even help your family out, your friends, because you've got access to the most powerful information that I've really just poured my heart and soul into. So I hope that you loved it as much as I loved creating this workshop for you. And I will certainly see you on social media. Take care now. Bye.